All right. I think we are now live on Facebook. So good morning, Nick. How are you? Or good
I'm doing
afternoon, really.
good
It's
afternoon. Yes, how you doing?
it's 1 o'clock. I mean, today has been such a crazy day that I honestly, whether it's morning, afternoon, evening, I'm not even sure right now.
I completely understand. This crept up on me as well. I'm getting so
Yeah,
the days are going fast.
they are, and we're already, today's Winning Wednesday, so it's our time with Nick each
July.
week. I know, middle of July, we're July 8th, well, I guess early middle of July, we're now July 8th. So talk to me, Nick, what are you seeing? Are you experiencing a big boom in business or getting busier as time goes by?
Yeah, so we are experiencing a continued growth that hasn't slowed down a little bit even. We actually last week we saw a 20% increase in applications and
Okay.
loans. Um, Rates have actually dipped even a little bit lower into the
Okay.
twos, into the mid to upper twos.
Hmm.
So I mean, it's just extraordinary. The support from the Federal Reserve and the markets at this point have kept interest rates low. And the one thing that I read too is that even though we have increases in prices,
Hmm.
a nice steady appreciation, this year is one of the most one of the most affordable housing periods since the recession. So those
Hmm.
years after 2008 to 2010, 11, those years were a little bit more affordable because prices actually came down. But even though prices are going up right now, this is the most affordable time since that recession, and that's because of interest rates, and then also as mortgage payments as compared to income. So we've seen some steady growth in income over the
Hmm.
last few years that has kind of helped that, and so it's reduced the percentage of income that people have to spend on their mortgages, creating some higher affordability, which doesn't really make it makes sense, but it's not intuitive because you would think that with home prices increasing over the last 5 to 7 years, that we wouldn't necessarily have a more affordable situation. But where interest rates are today, and I keep saying this over and over, this is historic.
Yeah.
The getting is good, so if you can find a house, um, this is really the time to do that. We talked about just some of the different programs we have available, like 3% down, whether it's a
Hmm.
conventional loan or FHA. This is helping people to essentially navigate where maybe they didn't save up this much, but because of the low rates, they can still afford the payment, and it becomes you know a good idea for them to buy. So it's just those things that like focus on these good aspects of where we are today, from an agent or a loan officer standpoint, is that look, you know, there's people out there that want to buy, and as soon as we get some of the people moving on listings and maybe some inventory,
Yeah.
that's really the move. And I
Yeah.
saw, yeah, go ahead, yeah.
No, I was going to say, like, just to what you were saying, I forget who posted something yesterday, but right now, inventory levels are really like they would be around the holidays. So around like kind of that December, early January period. And yet I would say, and I think what I'm hearing from you and what I've heard from other people, even just in the office, is that the buyers, as we've been saying, are probably at a level they normally would be at right now. It's just the inventory is where it would be in like December, January, and it's just not as of right now. It's everything changes week to week, but it seems like that's not aligning yet.
Yeah, but I've seen, what it is too, is like, the producers, the people that know, to list, or that are gonna, do business, whether this is a quote unquote good time or a
Correct.
bad time,
Yeah.
they're gonna go after it. Like I'm
Yep.
hearing, success stories from some agents on door knocking,
Mm-hmm.
with masks and gloves, to the unexpired,
Yeah.
and things like that, and just picking up some listings, and you know what it is, like, if you have that, that's like obviously that seems like the golden goose, because you have buyer
Yeah.
demand, you have affordability good, that's really good. So if you can, pick up some listings, you're really in control of your business and
Yeah.
moving forward. So that's just been kind of like the recurring theme, right? We don't see
Well,
a
door
problem with
knocking, I think what you're saying, door knocking, I think we talked about this a little last week. People are home right now. It's kind of, it reminds me of growing up. I mean, everyone had a landline, so people were always calling and people would be home at different times. And, you didn't have caller ID necessarily and all of that. So, whereas now, like with caller ID and all of that, like, anytime I see a number that I don't know, I'm not picking it up. Whereas if you're at home and someone's ringing the doorbell and you're safe and socially distanced, I mean, it's a really effective tactic right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's that. I mean, look, if that's like hey, you don't know how to put together a digital marketing strategy, or that seems complicated, that seems like it would work just as good in this market. But obviously, there's also then the idea is that if supply has always been low, creating some sort of strategy as an agent to, create demand online from, find out what your home is worth, maybe some ads, whether it's Facebook. That's just kind of some of the stuff that we've been saying over the years too, is like you create this, like maybe sellers don't know, maybe they don't know that it's a good time to sell because of the pandemic and all of that. And so making sure that you have, you're doing the things that you need to do for you, and the heck with what's going outside in the broader market. And we've talked about it too. It's like, do you either throw your hands up and say, hey, I'm also on hiatus at this point because the market, or do you, push the people that push through that will end up, coming together on
Absolutely. And I think that's
gaining market share.
Yeah. And that's a big reason why, even since March, I mean, we've been continuing doing training classes. We've been having agents plug in, and we've been really, making sure it's been business as usual, because ultimately, we're going through those different cycles in the year where kids are out of school. Like, everything is so different this year, because in a time where in other years, people are still plowing through, but they might take a vacation or they might do something here or there. You're now where it's like, well, we're still foot on the gas pedal because you need to be. And I think our office, we've really been big on that, is making sure that there hasn't been that disruption of service or just where it's slow down and peaks, and that, like, we've just been doing the same service that we've always been doing. And I think that that's important, even as agents, as in the mortgage industry, all across, the service isn't changing.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you on that. And just, dealing, playing the hand that you're dealt, and then making, the best of it, whether it's, if you're on the buy side, with buyers. And, I think we talked about this last week, maybe creating an appraisal floor, putting in those aggressive offers, so that, look, if it works out or it doesn't, at least you have the best opportunity to be, one of those sales. And, certainly that's, something that we're doing, along with some creativity on, down payments and all of that kind of stuff, which makes it, because a lot of people too, whether they have the money to put down, or maybe they have it and they don't necessarily, need to use it. The cost of money today is so low that you're seeing people come into this market, and being creative with some of the ways that they get financing, because it's, and it's weird. It's like a tale of two cities. You have some part of the economy that's, wildly, in trouble, but, it seems like home buyers, or those that were, going to be buying a home, haven't been as affected. And so we didn't see the decline that we thought that we would see over the course of this year. And so it's like, if you're a seller, you're like, wow, there's more buyers now than there was even last year, and this is the busy season and we're just pushing everything off. So you can think of it that way. And then from a buyer's perspective, it's like, look, the rates are at all-time lows. We don't know how long this is going to last. And that's the other part of it, that, if anyone needs to get moving on this, it's like, if interest rates rise, like they're expected to at some point, because the economy is going to further recover, and then that kind of goes, inversely, proportionate. So if the stock market and the economy is seen to recover faster, then less money goes into these, bond markets, and then maybe the Federal Reserve will cut back on buying those mortgage-backed security, which would create upward pressure on interest rates. And then what happens? And then, you might have a lower affordability, the buyer pool might go down a little bit, and then maybe price is affected at that point. So it's just, look, if you're a buyer, this is the best case scenario. If you're a seller, this is as good as it gets. So if you can find something in other places, and we've seen some people, obviously either move up in home price or they've moved out, so that's, some of the thing too is that people from the cities are moving out into New Jersey. Some people that have lived in New Jersey for 30 years, they want, maybe out to South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, and so we've seen some of that too. Is we've seen a lot of movement. This is essentially a time for a whole kind of recheck of, from a family work perspective, whether you're going to work remote or not. I mean, and I'm sure the school situation also has an effect on some people. I assume they're going to have some sort of plan, but I don't know how, that's going to work. And certainly that has to weigh on the minds of people that are both buying and selling, because they're like, I don't know where, the school situation is going to be. And so, there's things that would objections, right, for anything. But I think that, all the seasoned pros at KW and everything is to understand how to, discuss these questions and these potential issues that come up with buyers and sellers, and to say, hey, look, this might be the right time, or if it's not, then it's not.
Absolutely. So is there anything else you want to make sure we cover today? I want to be respectful of your time, and I think you've already provided a lot of information to our agents just in terms of the current landscape. I think you do an amazing job with that. Is there anything that you would like to kind of, close the loop on this conversation that you want to make sure our agents are equipped with?
I think that it's just that rates have been, at all-time lows. We're seeing, 2.8s, 2.75s, whether, that's something that they should be, have in their back pocket or know about. Affordability is at as its highest point since 2012. And then you have, ideas about making offers with appraisal floors, or, something where, it's discussed ahead of time with me or my team to say, hey, how would this work if X happened, or if Y happened with the appraisals or something like that, because we're going over asking, right? And so that's that's some of that. And really just, that we can do loans with as little as 3% down, and that we figured out how to do the clients that have been in forbearance in order to get them financing. So, the end result of all this might not be as bad as anticipated. And so, do what you got to do to get what you need to get right now, right? Like focus on what you need to do, and be positive about it. And like I said, the things that you never thought would work might work, at this point, whether it's door knocking or, just some sort of, ads or some digital strategy to try to get some more listings, or the buyers, whatever it is. And if anybody has any questions, I'm always here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nick, as always, for your time. And it's, it's always great getting to talk to you and really, pick your brain a bit. So thank you again for your time this Wednesday.
Yeah. And if there's anybody that has comments or questions, topics that you'd like for me to cover, we can totally take that into consideration, and I can be, prepared to drill down on them on the next one.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Nick. And we will see you next Wednesday. Have a great week.
You too. Be well.
You too. Bye.